What you're about to hear is not a drill. In the last 48 hours, two major events have taken place that could reshape the Middle East forever. Iran carried out deadly missile strikes on Israel. And then Donald Trump made a shocking announcement that no one expected. The United States might be stepping back. Stay with me, because this story grows bigger with every passing minute. Welcome back to World Military Update, the channel where we break down the most important military and geopolitical developments so you clearly understand what's happening and why it matters to you. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe right now and turn on notifications so you never miss a breaking update like this. Let's start from the beginning so you get the complete picture. For months, tensions between Israel and Iran had been building to a dangerous point. Both sides were involved in threats, proxy conflicts, and intelligence operations. But most experts believed a direct large-scale Iranian attack on Israeli territory was still months away. They were wrong. On April 1st, Iranian forces launched what officials are calling one of the most coordinated and deadly ballistic missile attacks ever aimed at Israel. Multiple warheads were fired directly from Iran, along with additional launches from Iran-backed positions in Iraq and Yemen at the same time. The objective was clear: overwhelm Israel's air defense systems all at once. Israel's Iron Dome and its more advanced defense systems were activated immediately. The skies over Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Haifa lit up, with eyewitnesses describing it as a terrifying display of interceptor missiles. Israeli defense officials confirmed that many incoming threats were intercepted, but not all. Some missiles broke through. At least 3 missiles hit populated areas in northern Israel. Early reports from emergency services confirmed casualties. Buildings in at least 2 cities suffered direct damage. This was not just a warning. This was a clear signal from Iran: they are no longer holding back. The world watched live as one of the most dangerous escalations in decades unfolded across global news screens. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu quickly called an emergency security cabinet meeting. Within hours, he addressed both the nation and the world. His tone was controlled, but the anger was clear. He stated that Israel would respond. He did not reveal when or how, but he promised that Iran would face consequences like never before. The Israeli military moved to its highest level of alert. Fighter jets were deployed, naval forces repositioned, and ground troops near the Lebanese border were placed on full combat readiness. At the same time, Hezbollah, Iran's strongest regional ally, began moving its forces in southern Lebanon. The region was now just one mistake away from a full-scale war. And that's when Donald Trump stepped in. This is where everything took a dramatic turn. In a late-night address from Mar-a-Lago, President Donald Trump announced what his administration described as a formal strategic review of U.S. military commitments in the Middle East. His message was direct and impossible to ignore. He said the United States would no longer act as the military backstop for every conflict in a region that has cost America years of blood and resources. He did not clearly say withdrawal, but the meaning was obvious. Analysts, diplomats, and military leaders all understood the same message. Trump also mentioned that U.S. aircraft carriers and military assets currently in the eastern Mediterranean were being reviewed for possible redeployment. He emphasized that America's top priority is its own security, borders, and economic strength. He added that the Middle East has received U.S. support for decades without achieving real stability. Then came the line that changed everything: if Israel and Iran choose to go to war, the United States will not provide unlimited support to either side. That statement sent shockwaves across the world. In Tel Aviv, Israeli defense leaders rushed into urgent meetings. In Tehran, Iranian state media celebrated the announcement as a major strategic win. In Riyadh, Abu Dhabi, and Amman, leaders immediately began emergency discussions, trying to understand what this shift could mean for their own security ties with Washington. This is World Military Update, and what we are witnessing right now is nothing less than a major shift in global power happening in real time. Stay with us, because what is coming next could be even more critical. Now let's understand why Donald Trump's statement, if it becomes real policy, could completely change the direction of this conflict. For decades, the presence of the United States military in the Middle East has been the strongest factor preventing a full-scale regional war. Just the deployment of 2 aircraft carrier strike groups in the Persian Gulf sends a clear message that no nation, not even Iran, can take lightly. When America is involved, the rules change. But the moment America steps back, even slightly, every country in the region starts thinking differently overnight. Iran has always been aware that any major attack on Israel could bring in the full power of the United States military. That fear has shaped Iran's strategy for years. Limited missile strikes, controlled proxy actions, always within a certain limit. But the moment Iran feels the United States will stay out, that limit disappears. And Iran understands this very well. That is exactly why Iranian state media began celebrating Trump's announcement just hours after it was made. Inside Israel, the reaction has been divided. On one side, hardline members of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet see this as an opportunity. They believe Israel should act now without waiting and launch a powerful preemptive strike on Iran's nuclear and military sites, especially while Iran is still recovering and reorganizing after the missile attacks. In their view, reduced American involvement gives Israel more freedom to act aggressively. But on the other side, experienced military leaders in Israel are seriously concerned. Without guaranteed support from the United States, without steady supplies of ammunition and spare parts, and without diplomatic backing at the United Nations, a long war with Iran becomes much more risky and complex. Israel has the power to strike quickly, but maintaining a long conflict without U.S. support is a completely different challenge. So, here is the current situation based on the latest intelligence and reports. Iran has clearly indicated that this attack was only the first wave, not a one-time action. A senior official from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard told state media that more operations are ready, depending on how Israel responds. This is not just talk. Over the past 2 years, Iran has significantly rebuilt its ballistic missile stockpile despite heavy sanctions. The weapons are ready. The real question is whether Iran will choose to use them again. Israel, on the other hand, has a long-standing policy of responding to any attack on its territory. The real debate among analysts is not whether Israel will strike back, but how strong that response will be and what targets will be chosen. If Israel focuses only on military targets, the conflict might stay limited. But if Israel decides to hit Iranian nuclear facilities, which many voices in the government are currently supporting, then everything changes instantly. Iran has already warned that any strike on its nuclear program will trigger a massive retaliation, targeting not only Israel, but also American interests across the region. And this is where Trump's statement connects with the battlefield reality in the most dangerous way. If the United States signals that it is stepping away, and Israel still targets Iranian nuclear sites, Iran might believe it can enter a full-scale war without fear of U.S. intervention. This exact scenario is what military planners in Washington, London, and across NATO are deeply worried about right now. We also need to look at the wider regional picture, because this conflict is not happening alone. In the last 72 hours, Hezbollah in Lebanon has launched more than 200 rockets into northern Israel. Houthi forces in Yemen have carried out drone attacks toward Israeli waters. Iraqi Shia militias have attacked U.S. bases in Iraq 2 times. Iran's network of proxy groups, built and supported over the past 40 years, is now becoming active all at once. This is a coordinated strategy, often described as a ring of fire, and it is being carried out with clear planning and timing. The Israeli military itself refers to this situation as the ring of fire. Senior Israeli commanders have openly said that the country is prepared to fight on multiple fronts at the same time. Israel has the capability, the training, and the equipment, but fighting on several fronts at once against well-armed and highly motivated proxy groups backed by a powerful nation with ballistic missiles and possibly without full American support is an extremely difficult military situation by any realistic standard. Now let's pull back even further, because this is not just about Israel and Iran. This is also about Russia, China, and the shifting balance of global power. And what we are seeing here is something much bigger than it looks on the surface. Both Russia and China have been watching these developments very closely. Russia, already deeply involved in Ukraine, has been supporting Iran with advanced military technology. This includes drones and key components used in missile guidance systems. For Moscow, a tense and unstable Middle East that pulls American focus away from Europe is actually beneficial. Every hour the United States spends dealing with Israel and Iran is one less hour focused on Ukraine and NATO. China, on the other hand, has been even more strategic. Beijing has quietly strengthened its economic and military ties with Iran over the years. China is Iran's largest buyer of oil, which provides the money that keeps Iran's military programs running despite heavy sanctions. And now, after Donald Trump's statement about stepping back from the Middle East, China is watching with clear interest. Every time America reduces its global role, it creates space for China to expand its influence. If the United States steps back, China is already in position to step forward. Now look at Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states. They are in a very serious and uncertain situation. For years, they have carefully balanced their partnership with the United States while dealing with Iran as a powerful neighbor. The Abraham Accords and the wider normalization process, including Saudi Arabia moving closer to recognizing Israel, were all based on strong American security guarantees. But if those guarantees start to weaken, everything changes. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates may have to rethink their entire security strategy. We could see Gulf countries moving faster toward acquiring advanced weapon systems, and there is already growing speculation about potential nuclear capabilities. This is the new reality that Trump's announcement has created, whether it was intentional or part of a larger negotiation strategy. Right now, military and diplomatic teams across dozens of countries are running urgent scenario plans to figure out what happens next. This is World Military Update, and we will continue tracking every major development so you always stay informed with the most accurate picture. Now let's focus on what the next 72 hours could look like based on current information. Israeli intelligence assessments will decide the timing of the response. In most cases, Israel takes between 48 and 96 hours to prepare and carry out a controlled military action. The goal is always the same, strong enough to restore deterrence, but precise enough to avoid triggering a much bigger and uncontrollable escalation. Since the Iranian missile strikes, the Israeli Air Force has been on full combat alert. Strike plans are almost certainly already prepared and approved. At this point, the final order could come at any moment. At the same time, American diplomacy is moving at full speed. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has reportedly been in contact with officials from Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE within the past 24 hours. Qatar, which has one of the few working communication channels with both Iran and Hamas, is now being used to pass critical messages to Tehran about the risks of further escalation. But the big question remains, will Iran listen? There is also an important internal political angle that cannot be ignored. Inside Iran, the hardline factions behind the missile strikes are gaining strong nationalist support. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, now 85 years old, has been managing internal power struggles between different groups within the government. These missile attacks were not only a military move, but also a political step to strengthen the position of hardliners. If Iran backs down now, it could be seen as weakness at home. That makes any diplomatic de-escalation much harder, even if some leaders want it. In the United States, Trump's statement has already created division within his own party. Several senior Republican senators quickly criticized the remarks, calling them risky and dangerous. Former national security officials from both political sides have appeared on television warning that any sign of American withdrawal from the Middle East could become one of the most destabilizing foreign policy decisions in decades. The debate inside Washington is now almost as intense as the situation unfolding in the Middle East itself. And now we come to the question everyone is asking. Every military analyst, every foreign policy expert, and millions of people watching around the world are focused on one thing. Is this the beginning of a full-scale regional war? Or is there still a chance to step back before it is too late? The honest truth, based on everything we know right now, is this. We are closer to a full regional war than at any time since 1973. This is not exaggeration. This is the judgment of experts who have spent their entire careers studying situations exactly like this. All the warning signs for escalation are already in place. Two nuclear-adjacent powers are now in direct confrontation. American deterrence, which has held steady for decades, is now uncertain. Proxy forces are already active and engaged in conflict. Political pressure inside both Israel and Iran is pushing leaders towards stronger action, not restraint. And the global powers that could help calm things down, Russia and China, both benefit strategically from a distracted and stretched United States. So what would de-escalation actually look like? It would require Iran to clearly and publicly signal that the April 1st strikes were a response to a specific trigger and that they do not plan to continue further attacks. It would require Israel to achieve a sense of deterrence without launching a full-scale military strike. It would require the United States to send a clear, consistent message instead of the mixed signals we have seen over the past 24 hours. And it would depend heavily on Qatar and other Gulf mediators successfully managing back-channel talks within just a few days. All of this is possible. History has shown that even the most dangerous crises can be pulled back from the edge if the right conditions are met. The Cuban Missile Crisis is a well-known example, but it takes strong political decisions, skilled diplomacy, and a bit of luck. Right now, looking at the players involved and the pressure each side is facing, that margin for luck is extremely small. World Military Update will continue to monitor every single development around the clock. We are tracking Israeli military movements, Iranian state media messaging, U.S. diplomatic efforts, and the positioning of proxy forces across the region. Every new update changes the situation, and our goal is to give you the most accurate and complete analysis available. This situation is evolving quickly, and there are already important updates coming in that we will cover in our next video. So make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss it the moment it goes live. Your understanding of what is happening in the Middle East and what it means for global security depends on staying informed and up to date. That is exactly why we are here at World Military Update. Now we want to hear from you, because your opinion matters, and this community is one of the most informed audiences discussing these issues anywhere online. Share your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think Israel will carry out a full strike on Iran's nuclear sites? Do you believe Trump's statement was a calculated strategic move or just a negotiation tactic? Do you think this situation is heading toward a full regional war? We read every comment, and your insights genuinely influence how we cover these stories. And if you found this breakdown helpful, if it gave you a clearer understanding of what is really happening and why it matters, then share this video right now. Send it to someone who is trying to understand these events. Post it on your social media. Every share helps this analysis reach more people who need clear and reliable information in a time full of confusion. That is how this community grows, and that is how we continue doing what we do. Right now, the world is at a turning point. The decisions made in Tel Aviv, Tehran, and Washington over the next 72 hours could shape global security for years ahead. Stay connected with World Military Update. We will be here every step of the way, bringing you clear, direct, and honest analysis as events unfold. This is not just another news update. This is history happening in real time, and you are watching it unfold.